From the dawn of creation, there has always been a mystery between man and woman, a silent force pulling one toward the other, a dance written not by culture, not by man, but by the hand of God himself. Before man ever spoke a word, he saw. And when Adam first saw Eve, something awakened inside him that had never existed before. He didn't just see a body, he saw purpose and form. He saw divine creativity clothed in beauty. And that moment, that spark, became the story of attraction, the eternal fire that still burns in the hearts of men today. You see, when men are drawn to women with wide hips, it is not just about what AOS seen with the eyes, it is about what AS felt in the soul. Those curves represent the rhythm of life. They whisper the language of creation. Here is life, here is nurture, here is balance. Science says men are wired to notice it, that wider hips represent fertility and good health. But science can only measure the mechanics. It cannot touch the meaning, because what the body speaks, the spirit interprets. And deep inside, every man feels a pull, not just to beauty, but to wholeness, to connection, to something that reminds him of home. The truth is, attraction isn't dirty, it's divine. It's not a weakness, it's a reflection of God's design. The problem isn't that men are attracted. The problem is that they often stop at what they see, instead of searching for what the beauty means. The human soul responds to harmony, to balance between strength and gentleness, between power and grace. And a woman's form is the most visible symbol of that divine harmony. Wide hips, soft curves. They're not mistakes. They are art. They are living poetry, written by a God who loves balance and beauty. But let's go deeper. Because in every attraction, there's a message. And if a man listens, he can grow wiser through what he desires. Attraction is like a mirror. It shows you not only what you want, but what's missing in you. A man drawn to strength in a woman may be searching for stability within himself. A man drawn to softness may be craving peace. A man drawn to beauty may be hungry for inspiration. Attraction is never random. It's always a reflection. It teaches you, if you're humble enough to learn. That's why in every culture, across every generation, beauty has always carried power. From the queens of Egypt to the women of Israel, beauty was never just about looks. It was a symbol of influence. But influence without wisdom becomes manipulation, and beauty without virtue becomes a trap. That is why every man must learn to see beyond the hips, because the form may draw you, but the spirit must hold you. Without discernment, desire becomes a chain, but with wisdom, desire becomes a compass. Listen to me. It's not wrong to be attracted. It's wrong to be blinded. Attraction is supposed to lead you, not mislead you. It's supposed to point you toward purpose, not pull you into destruction. And that, as the battle men have fought for thousands of years, the struggle between vision and desire, between what the eyes want and what the soul needs. From Adam to David, from Samson to Solomon, the strongest men in Scripture were not defeated by armies. They were defeated by unguarded attraction. Not because attraction is evil, but because they forgot its purpose. See, attraction is like fire. It can warm your home, or burn it to the ground. It depends on whether you control it, or it controls you. And so the question is not, why are men attracted to wide hips? The real question is, what is that attraction trying to teach you about yourself, your purpose, and your discipline? Because what draws your eyes reveals where your soul is focused. And if you can learn to master your attention, you can master your destiny. A man who learns to look deeper, to see beyond the body and into the spirit, that man becomes unstoppable. Because he's no longer a slave to beauty, he's a student of it. Beauty becomes his teacher. Attraction becomes his mirror. And through that mirror, he finds himself, since the earliest days of civilization, beauty has ruled kingdoms and started wars. Empires have risen because of it, and fallen because of it. Men have crossed deserts, built cities, and lost their thrones chasing the glow of a woman's beauty. And yet, through every century, one truth has remained. Beauty itself is not the enemy. Blindness is. When a man can see beauty but not purpose, he is doomed to repeat the mistakes of history. Let us begin in the scriptures, because the Bible holds some of the greatest lessons about attraction ever written. Rachel and Leah, the eyes that see versus the heart that understands. Jacob looked at Rachel and saw perfection. Her figure was beautiful, her face radiant. He said within himself, "This is the one." And he worked 7 years for her, years that the Bible says felt like days because of his love for her. But God, in his wisdom, allowed Jacob to first marry Leah, the sister with weak eyes, the one people called plain. And out of Leah came Judah, the bloodline of kings, the ancestor of Jesus Christ himself. That story carries thunder inside it. It tells us that what your eyes desire isn't always what your destiny needs. Rachel may capture your attention, but Leah may carry your legacy. If you only chase what shines, you may miss what's sacred. So every man must ask, am I chasing my Rachel, or am I respecting my Leah? Because one gives you excitement, the other gives you endurance. One makes you feel alive, the other helps you stay alive. David and Bathsheba, when attraction turns into a trap. Then we see David, the mighty warrior, the poet, the king chosen by God. But even kings bleed when they look without wisdom. One evening, David walked on his rooftop and saw Bathsheba bathing. Her body was beautiful, her presence magnetic. And in that moment, his eyes became his enemy. Desire whispered louder than destiny, and what began as a glance became a grave. David's sin with Bathsheba brought pain, loss, and death into his house. Not because Bathsheba was evil, but because David forgot the purpose of beauty. The same beauty that can inspire a song can also break a soul if it is not governed by discipline. That's why self-control is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's not suppression, it's stewardship. When you learn to master your eyes, you learn to protect your crown. Samson and Delilah, strength without vision. Then there was Samson, the strongest man in Israel. His muscles could tear lions apart, but his heart was as fragile as glass. He fell in love with Delilah, a woman whose charm hid deception. And when she asked him for the secret of his strength, he gave it to her. Because love without boundaries becomes surrender without sense. Delilah didn't defeat Samson with a sword. She defeated him with softness. That's the power of attraction when left unguarded. A man may conquer nations, but if he cannot conquer himself, he is still a slave. Samson lost his sight long before the Philistines gouged out his eyes. He lost it the moment he stopped seeing with his spirit. Esther, beauty with purpose. But not every story ends in destruction. There's also Esther, a woman whose beauty became a weapon of deliverance. When the kings searched for a new queen, many women came adorned with perfumes and jewels. But Esther carried something more powerful: grace. She understood that beauty is not about being noticed. It's about being chosen for a purpose. Her elegance was not loud, it was disciplined. Her confidence was not pride, it was preparation. And when she stood before the king, she didn't beg for favor, she embodied it. Because true beauty doesn't shout, it shines. And through Esther's wisdom, a whole nation was saved from death. Solomon, the man who loved too much. Solomon, the wisest man, wrote songs about love, beauty, and desire. Yet, even he confessed that his heart was led astray by the women he loved. He built temples for God, but later built altars for idols. Not because he stopped believing in God, but because he started worshiping beauty more than the one who made it. And isn't that what happens to so many of us? We get lost in the gifts and forget the giver. We chase the creation and forget the creator. That is the hidden danger of attraction, when you stop seeing it as a sign and start treating it as a source. The moment you make beauty your god, it will demand a sacrifice, and that sacrifice is always your peace. Cultural and historical reflections, the meaning of curves. Across ancient Africa and the Middle East, wide hips were symbols of fertility, prosperity, and strength. In Egyptian art, queens were painted with full figures, not to provoke lust, but to represent power, motherhood, and life. The Ashanti of West Africa celebrated the golden shape as a symbol of abundance and harmony. In Hebrew culture, a woman's form was celebrated as a divine vessel. not something to be ashamed of, but something to be respected. But modern culture lost that balance. Today's world glorifies the body, but forgets the soul inside it. The sacred became sexualized. What was once a symbol of life became a tool of entertainment, and because of that, men learned to look, but not to see. They learned to desire, but not to discern. That's why the message of ancient wisdom still matters. Because attraction without honor is corruption, and honor without attraction becomes emptiness. The goal is not to reject beauty, it's to redeem it. To see it not as a trap, but as a teacher. To understand that when God made woman, He didn't just design a body, He designed balance. He placed curves to represent nurture, softness to represent mercy, and grace to represent His nature. The spiritual psychology of attraction. Attraction, at its core, is the Spirit's way of saying, there is something here that mirrors your design. When a man sees a woman with wide hips, part of his subconscious sees the rhythm of creation, the echo of Eve, the mother of all living. His soul remembers that he was once incomplete until God brought woman forth. So attraction becomes more than desire. It becomes a reminder that humanity is meant for connection, not isolation. But connection without purpose is confusion. You can be drawn to something that looks right but leads wrong. That's why discernment must walk hand in hand with desire. The moment your attraction serves your purpose, it becomes holy. The moment it replaces your purpose, it becomes a curse. Men are visual by nature, but being visual doesn't mean being shallow. Your eyes were not created to wander. They were created to witness, to see the glory of God in creation, and that includes the glory of womanhood. So guard your vision. Because what you keep watching, you start worshiping. And what you worship, you eventually become. Every story in history, from Adam to now, teaches the same truth. Attraction is powerful, but purpose is stronger. Desire is loud, but destiny whispers. And only those who listen to destiny can master desire. Attraction is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of awareness. The question is never, what attracts me? The real question is, what is this attraction trying to awaken in me? Every man must face this mirror. Every woman must understand her reflection, because attraction reveals more about your destiny than your desire. When you look at something beautiful, your soul is remembering what harmony looks like. When you're drawn to a certain kind of woman, your spirit may be whispering, there's something here you must learn, or something you must become. But too many stop at the surface, mistaking the symbol for the source. And because of that, they miss the transformation hidden inside the tension. Attraction as a mirror of the soul. A man's attraction to a woman is not just about her, it asks about him. It's a reflection of what he values, what he fears, and what he has yet to master. If a man chases only the body, it means he's running from depth. If he's drawn to peace, it means he's searching for rest. If he's inspired by grace, it means he's craving redemption. Attraction exposes your character. It doesn't create it. That's why self-awareness is the highest form of power. When you understand your impulses, you stop being ruled by them. Every man must learn to be the gatekeeper of his own eyes. Every woman must learn to be the guardian of her own energy, because eyes that wander create hearts that wither. But eyes that discern create lives that flourish. You don't conquer desire by killing it. You conquer it by understanding it. Discipline doesn't destroy attraction. It dignifies it. It takes the wild fire of passion and turns it into the steady flame of purpose. Men, learning to lead with vision. Man, hear me. You were never meant to be led by lust. You were meant to lead with vision. God gave you eyes to see direction, not distraction. Your attraction to a woman's body should remind you of creation, not confusion. It should awaken admiration, not addiction. When you learn to respect what attracts you, you rise above it. When you learn to honor what moves you, you gain mastery over it. A real man doesn't run from beauty. He recognizes it, appreciates it, and keeps his focus on purpose, because purpose is what separates kings from fools. Samson lost his strength because he couldn't separate feeling from calling. David lost his peace because he couldn't separate momentary pleasure from eternal purpose. But Joseph, oh Joseph, when temptation came, He ran. He didn't run because he was weak. He ran because he was wise. He knew that not every opportunity is meant to be touched. That's what makes a man powerful. Not how many women he can attract, but how many impulses he can control. Women, understanding the power you carry. And to every woman listening, understand this. You are not an object of desire. You are a vessel of destiny. Your hips are not a distraction. They are a declaration of life. Your form carries the design of creation itself. But your greatest power isn't in your shape, it's in your spirit. Because beauty fades, but purpose doesn't age. Charm can open doors, but only character can keep them open. When a woman walks in confidence and humility, she becomes a force that cannot be ignored. When she carries herself with dignity, she commands respect without saying a word. The world may try to define you by your looks, but heaven defines you by your light. Your beauty is a language. Speak it wisely. Use it to heal, not to manipulate. Use it to build, not to destroy. Because when beauty serves love, heaven celebrates. But when beauty serves pride, heaven withdraws. You are the reflection of divine artistry, not to be idolized, but to be honored. So never apologize for your design. Just walk in it with wisdom, grace, and strength. The redemption of beauty. The time has come to redeem the meaning of beauty, to take back what culture corrupted, to see hips, curves, and bodies not as entertainment, but as evidence of God's imagination. The world teaches you to chase pleasure. God teaches you to pursue purpose. The world teaches you to admire what glitters. Wisdom teaches you to search for what glows. Every curve, every feature, every difference, it all declares, you were fearfully and wonderfully made. That means beauty was never a sin. Only the misuse of it is. We must teach the next generation of men to see women as wonders, not trophies. To look at a woman and see legacy, not lust. To see God's glory, not man's fantasy. Because once you restore honor, attraction becomes sacred again. Turning desire into discipline. Desire is energy, and energy can destroy or build depending on how you channel it. The same fire that burns can forge steel. The same passion that tempts can transform. When you feel drawn toward beauty, ask yourself, what does this teach me about myself? Am I ready for what I'm asking for? Because attraction without preparation is disaster. But attraction with maturity becomes destiny. Men of purpose understand this. Discipline is not denial, it's direction. It means you're focused enough to save your energy for what matters. And women of wisdom know this too. Elegance isn't in showing everything, it's in revealing only what purpose requires. The sacred balance. When God created man and woman, He didn't just make bodies, He made balance. Masculine and feminine, strength and grace, logic and intuition. When these forces respect each other, creation flourishes. When they misuse each other, destruction begins. That's why attraction is holy. It's the thread that ties creation together. But it's only holy when handled with honor. If a man can see beauty and still choose purpose, he is ready to lead. If a woman can hold beauty and still choose humility, she is ready to reign. Together, they reflect the image of God, not through perfection, but through partnership. Legacy and awakening. Hear this truth. The world doesn't need more beautiful bodies. It needs more beautiful souls. The world doesn't need more desire. It needs more discipline. Because when discipline and desire walk together, destiny begins to speak. Every generation must decide, will we worship beauty, or will we learn from it? Will we chase hips, or will we honor the heart that carries them? Because the hips fade, the body ages, but purpose is eternal. Men, learn to see beyond the curve. Women, learn to live beyond the mirror. Because what makes you truly magnetic is not your shape, it's your spirit. The final word. So let this be your awakening. Let this be the moment you understand that attraction is not your enemy. Ignorance is. Desire is not your downfall. Undisciplined desire is. Beauty is not a curse. Blindness is. See deeper. Love wiser. Walk slower. Honor more. When you understand what draws you, you begin to understand what drives you. And when you master what drives you, you step into divine power. Remember this: the hips that catch your eye should point you to the heart that catches your purpose. The beauty that moves your emotions should push you to move with intention. And the woman you admire should inspire you to become the man worthy of her respect. Because attraction was never meant to end in lust. It was meant to lead to love. Not just love between man and woman, but love between humanity and God's design. So stand tall, walk with vision, see with your spirit, not just your sight. Because in the end, true beauty is not in what you see, it's in how you see. And when your eyes, your heart, and your purpose finally align, that, my friend, is when attraction becomes destiny.